Hello everyone, Violet here, and today I'm going to be doing the hashtag My Magical YouTube Journey tag. So I was tagged by my friend Cosmic Lunar Soul. Thank you so much for tagging me. And I encourage you all to click that hashtag and see the other videos that are made on this topic because it's a really fun discussion. And if you want to grab a cup of tea or a beverage or a snack and cozy on up, I'm not sure how long it'll take to get through all of the questions. There are a number of questions that I'm also going to make in the description down below, timestamps with each question. So if there's anything that you are curious about, you can click that and check it out. So yeah, let's get into it. All right, so our first question is, what is your channel name and the significance behind it? So Violet Hummingbird, my actual name, like legal name, is not Violet, but I certainly basically like go by it now. Violet Hummingbird is my magical name. So I took the first letter of my first name. It does have that in common, and then I took the numerology of my entire name to create a magical name that had the same numerology. And this is back in 2017 when I started getting really way more into the magical side of things. So I decided to, make myself a magical name. And this was before I made a YouTube channel or anything at all. So Violet Hummingbird has the same numerology. But hummingbirds have also been kind of like a totem symbolic animal to me. I've had quite a lot of experiences with hummingbirds, very magical experience with a hummingbird when I was a child. So I'm so inspired by them. And the name Violet also is a family name. My great grandmother was named Violet, and some other members of my family. It's something that I feel like I wasn't fully conscious of when I made this name, but I do actually think there's a sense of ancestry connection there. Yeah, so I also kind of enjoyed that it was like a color and an animal. So violet to me, the significance behind the color violet and the plant violet, there's so many layers to this name as to why I chose it as my magical name. So yeah, and that's why it's the name of my channel as well. So our second question is, what type of content do you create on your channel? So I would say that I mostly live stream. I'm doing video content as well, and I'm starting to make 2 videos a week. So I was just doing 1 video a week for a while. When I first started, I was starting with just videos, and that's when it was just for fun. But I started live streaming tarot, and that's become my business. So mostly I'm live streaming and mostly it's tarot, but I also do a lot of content on creative topics and spiritual topics, and honestly my topics of content have been kind of all over the place for a long time. So I'm starting to sort of narrow that down a little bit, which I think we'll talk about in the next. There's a question about any new content you want to try out, and I am looking towards a sort of soft rebrand where I start focusing in on some things a bit more. So we'll talk about that when the question comes up. But yeah, mostly I say creativity and spirituality. That has been the core focus of my channel. Okay, so what inspired me to start this channel? This is question number 3. So I was inspired by watching YouTube. I found myself always watching YouTube. It was my go-to source of entertainment and inspiration, and honestly even information. Also, of course, reading books and stuff for information, but it's something that I've always loved to put on while I'm doing projects, while I'm cleaning, and I really got into watching YouTube, and specifically I was watching planner videos and plan with me's. and then witchy content in like 2017. So I felt really inspired to make my own, and I didn't fully do it though. I posted one video, which goes into the next question, which is how long have you been on YouTube as a content creator? And I posted my first video in 2018, and it was a review of the Witch's Planner. And that was it. I just like posted that video, I put it up there, and for some reason, it's still my most viewed video for today. Like until today, it sort of had its own like blow up. I think it's because that planner kind of took off and did really well. And at the time, I think it was like the only review posted of that planner. So that was my first ever video in 2018. And then in 2020, it was, you know, pandemic time, and also it was the time when I was pregnant. And I was like, you know, I should probably be creating content while I'm pregnant about the different phases of pregnancy. And so then I thought, okay, I'm going to go back to that YouTube channel and start posting a little bit more. And I did other things as well. And then I got inspired and just wanted to create content about like all sorts of different things that inspired me. So, so at that point I was doing it just for fun. And then in 2021, so I had already, it's interesting because I had a very like freelance type, well-balanced, multiple sources of income career in the arts before the pandemic. And then most everything that I was doing shut down. And this is like right when we got pregnant as well. So it was a very interesting time. That was 2020. And at that point, I actually took on more of a role of a position of what I was doing, like maybe a little bit more part-time as an assistant to a gallery owner. And she was very intense, very difficult to work with. And I won't go too much into that, but essentially I started working like entirely for her. And in 2021, it was crumbling. Like it was not working for me, and I was trying to find my way out of it. And she was doing things that just like, I couldn't stay on with it. So I thought, what can I do as a mom at home with a baby? What can I do from here? What can I do that like isn't gonna just disappear, you know, if like something like, if the pandemic surges again, since I'd had that experience. So I thought, well, I'm really interested in tarot, and I haven't had much experience reading for different people. Why don't I live stream tarot? So 2021 is when I started taking it seriously, like professionally. So our next question is, what are your hobbies outside of this channel? So I think that my identity and my ego wants to say art, that is like my main thing outside of this channel. But it's interesting because that has also morphed and changed, I think, since this like big life change of having a baby. And when I actually think about it, it's actually morphed and changed a number of times. So when I was first starting out in my early 20s and when I was going to college and stuff, I was really focused on the classics. I was a Shakespearean actor and I also was learning classical oil painting, and that's like really, what I was doing. And then I got inspired and took on this whole new path doing experimental performance art. I kind of merged the visual art and I merged the performance aspect, and I went on this journey, which actually led me to my spiritual journey. So each of these things kind of lead to another, because it became very ritualistic. It became very like using energy and creating like healing type rituals. So that, I think, did lead me along this magical path, which has always been like a seed. It's always been there. But now that I'm like doing spirituality more so as my job, and I have a baby, and to be honest, like I've done some watercolor, but I haven't like been picking out my oil paints. I haven't been going to galleries and doing performance art pieces. what I feel inspired to do now, and I think I'm just going to embrace this and go with it, I'm inspired to write fantasy novels. So I've written one, I'm in the middle of another, everything's in process, but I'm just embracing like, okay, I always have a creative path, but it's okay for that path to change. So I would say that, you know, that is something that I do, and some of that comes onto the channel as well. I think all of my hobbies are going to somewhat kind of like merge into what I create here too, but that's what I would say I do outside of this. Plus, in terms of just like literally how do I spend my time, if I'm not watching my son, if I'm not, you know, like with my family, when I'm able to have me time, I'm going and doing a yoga class. So that's what I love. All right, so our next question is, here we go. Is there a new style of content that you want to try? So I have been really inspired to try my hand at what I would call booktubing content. I've been loving watching it, and I especially want to read fantasy. I just like, I want to, you know, I'm writing fantasy, I want to dig deep into reading fantasy and post like videos all about that. And that's actually why I'm starting to do 2 videos a week. So this isn't like fully going to be a rebrand. I'm just kind of right now starting with 2 different videos, and it's not like fully into the booktubing sphere yet. I'm actually looking more towards next year for that. But actually November is the time that I'm doing this soft rebrand, where November is this challenge called NaNoWriMo, and it's where you write 50,000 words or an entire novel in the month of November. And I plan to do that. And I plan to like make that part of this, you know, channel. We've done it every year. We did it in 2021 and we did it in 2022. Now we're going to do it this year. But I think that at that point, when I'm like really connecting to like the literary type community, which by the way, I think there's a big overlap as well between like witchy pagan community and like literary, especially like fantasy lovers. Anyway, when there's like, when I'm doing that, afterwards I'm going to keep, that'll be all of November, and then afterwards I'm going to keep it going with doing more so like the booktubing type of videos, and that'll be my 2nd video a week. So we'll have a spiritual video and we'll have a literary bookish type of video. And I also really want to start, and I have already started, I started a series on this channel kind of like digging deep into esoterica, and this might all sound totally unrelated, but I think that there's a bridge here. I'm gonna make a series, and this will start next year in 2024, of looking at the esoteric mysteries of fairy tales. And yeah, I'm really excited for that. So we'll be talking about mysticism, esoterica, spirituality, fairy tales, fantasy, writing, and reading. And that'll be the soft rebrand. So I used to do a lot of other stuff, and I think I'm going to move a lot of the fun creative stuff to Twitch. And yeah, that's the plan. So how do you plan out your content? Well, as of yesterday, I made a Notion. I found a content creator template, and maybe I'll link that below if I remember to. I found a content creator template, and then I just kind of edited it, and I've been doing like paper planning for content planning, and I realized that although paper planning works for everything else in my life, when I'm working on content type stuff, I'm on my computer. So I might as well, and oftentimes I don't have like whatever notebook or whatever planner with me to do it. So I'm just gonna have it all in one place. And the other reason is because content, more than anything else, shifts and changes, and I like the ability to just like drag, like, okay, actually I'm going to do this video on this day, that sort of thing. So yeah, I like it because it basically what I do is I have a calendar for the content, and obviously we're going to try to do 2 videos per week. And when I assign it a day, it actually shows up also in a to-do list with the same, like, the order, so I can see the most soon videos to be coming up at top. And there are different color codes for, like, well, where in process am I? So I can click when I've moved from filming to editing, and from editing to posting, and posting to actually, like, scheduling and publishing. So yeah, I think it's gonna work really, really well. But one thing that I do in talking about how do I plan out my content is I like to work in cycles. So for one, like, thinking of the cycle of the whole year, like seasonally, that's something. But also each month, there's usually about like 4 different types of videos. And I'm gonna really start doing this now that I'm gonna do 2 videos a week. I'll need to sort of be on top of things and know what I'm gonna make. But about 4 different types of videos that I'll be cycling through. So each week hits a different type. So within the umbrella of spirituality, it'll be like the new moon collective reading, the full moon collective reading, and then some sort of lecture like the fairy tale lecture, esoterica, and then also some sort of like seasonal vlog or something to do with a Sabbath. That will be the 4. And then there's like a bonus ideas for when there's a 5th week. And then within the booktubing, it'll probably be like to be reads, unboxing, shopping for books, that kind of thing. Then maybe like challenges or like organization, how do I organize, or how am I tabbing my books, or like that sort of a thing, or like some fun challenge for reading. And then the 3rd would be like reviews and vlogs, like reading vlogs, talking about what I'm reading and reacting to it. And then the 4th will actually be our book club meetings. So those are like the 2 different cycles, and that's just one example. But I really like to think of things in that way, and it helps me plan out ideas as well. So yeah.
Okay, so I actually forgot 2 questions, so I'm going to go ahead and answer those. But one is, what are your tools of the trade, like cameras, mic, lighting, etc.? And I'll just go ahead and link those below. I have a very simple setup, and in fact, I use a yoga mat bag to put everything together if I need to like take it to another location and set up and stream there. So that's how I'm able to do that. And the next question is, as a content creator, do you experience burnout? If so, what does that look like for you? How do you recover from it? And yes, I did. I experienced burnout when I tried too much to make my own practice part of my content. And I spent 9 months actually solidly streaming every morning, doing morning rituals with some meditation, some yoga, and it was so wonderful, and I deeply got to know community members that way, and I wouldn't take that time back for the world, but I realized that I really needed to keep that time for myself to be able to replenish, and then bring it to streaming, bring it to the tarot readings, to the work that I was doing. Like I kind of needed to separate that. So that's an example. I sort of adjust things when I experience burnout. I haven't had the experience of having to take a super long break, for example. I did take a break from Twitch to focus on YouTube a bit, but it's just always a rebalancing of energy. And yeah, so hopefully the goal is to keep things sustainable moving forward.
Which video are you the most proud of, and why? So, I would say actually the video I'm most proud of, I made pretty recently, and it is the video, it's the first video in the series that I'm going to make called Classical Esoterica in the Modern Age of Discernment. I think that's the title of it. It's a long title, so forgive me if I'm a little bit off. But it's the one that has to do with 2 divergent paths and how to always move through your heart. And to me, that video was the most important. It's the most important concept that I use within my spirituality. So being able to like share that concept with others and put it out there, that felt really important. it almost felt like, okay, that's, you know, if I only made that video, I would feel pretty happy about that. So that's the video. And then also in general, I made this sort of poetic imagery and explaining the Sabbats, but kind of in a way that's fluid, in a way that I think about them and work with them in a way that's kind of personal to me. And that's a whole playlist, and we'll be finishing it actually finally this year with the Yule video will be the last one for that playlist, but that's also the content that I'm the most proud of. Okay, so next, who inspires you within the magical pagan YouTube community? So it's funny, I mean, I wouldn't say that all of these creators would consider themselves like pagan or even like magical necessarily, but definitely like intuitive, definitely spiritual. So I'll talk about some of the people that have really inspired me on my path. So first of all, Kelly Ann Maddox and Molly Roberts were two of the main like witchy creators that I really, really watched from the start, and I continue to be inspired by them. I love both of their like zest for life, and it's different, and they talk about different things, and I appreciate the aesthetics of both of those channels so much. So yes, definitely, and I'll link all of these below. And then also in terms of intuitives and psychics, I love Bahati Life. I really like connect with her messages, and also Pisces Pixie, who's also a good friend of the channel. But Pisces Pixie, that's who I go to for readings. I totally resonate with her stream of inspiration and her messages that she receives, and I really connect with what she creates. So those are the intuitives that in terms of like psychic messages and that sort of thing that I really follow. And in terms of like education and learning, Gigi Young is someone I really follow for like esoteric knowledge. And she's also an incredible intuitive, but she does these really in-depth lectures, and it's been a few years now that I've been like very closely following her work, and it just never ceases to surprise me and amaze me and hit on like very true deep levels. So Gigi Young is, yes, one of my very favorites. And then also I wanted to mention this witchy shop that also has a YouTube channel, and it's the Awareness Shop. And I love their channel. It's really fun and sweet, and I love the couple that runs the shop. But I wanted to mention them because when I was first starting out back in like 2017, I lived very close to this witchy shop, and I went in there and learned so much from the people who were working there, and I loved that space. I loved the people there. I loved going to their witchy tea parties. And yeah, so whenever I see a video from the Awareness Shop, and I'll link all of these, I think I already said that, but whenever I see a video from them, it just like, it hits that spot of like, oh, that was a happy time and like really good memories. I should go back and visit there. But yeah. And the next question is related. Are there any channels you would recommend? So all of those channels I would recommend. I also want to recommend some of my good friends that I'm going to also be tagging. So I recommend Cosmic Lunar Soul, who tagged me in this video, and also my friends that I'm going to tag, just no pressure, but like if you want to make this video, I'm going to tag My Bae, Allison, who's the Priestess of Wonderland. I'm going to tag Navnia, and I'm going to tag Panthera, the Feral Wood Witch. So I would love for you all to check them out. They make wonderful content. Mai has been making some pick a card readings and some meditations and like very calming, very like genuine, sweet videos. I know Navnia has been doing like card reviews, and Panthera does a lot of like pagan witchy content. And Allison, Priestess of Wonderland, I feel like very connected with the content that she makes because she loves planning. She loves the moon. She's like really reinforced my love for the moon. Like, I thought I loved the moon, but like learning from Allison, I'm like, oh my gosh, yes, this affects every like aspect of life. And she's also a tarot reader. A lot of my friends on here are all tarot readers too. So do check them out. I highly recommend. And of course, the person who wrote all of these questions, Starlight, the Wild Witch. So yeah, I'll link everything down below. Okay, so do you believe there are misconceptions about being a magical pagan YouTuber? What I'll say is that I have always kind of kept that part of myself pretty private. And I think it's from growing up in the Bible Belt. And it's something that if people that I grew up with saw that I was doing this, like, I would feel, I just know that they wouldn't quite get it. And I hope I would be pleasantly surprised by that, but I think that that would be the case, and it kind of makes me like want to keep it hidden. And I think it just comes from like that experience throughout life. So I do think like, yes, like the people, there are a lot of people that would have misconceptions about it. But what's interesting is when I started this journey, I really thought that the only people, like maybe that no one would see my content, or the people that would be like strangers on the internet. But what I didn't realize is that this was going to become not only my job, but like my main community. Like, I really feel like this online community is my main community now. And then also with this now being like literally what I'm doing for work, I realized that it's a bit more open. Like, my family kind of knows about it. Not like, I don't think they're watching it, but like it's something that I now like have a link to it on my on my artist website. Like, it's something that could get out there. And so yeah, I've kind of had to sort of get used to that idea. And I think I'll talk about that a little bit more. There was a later question that made me think about that. But so like, yes, but I also don't want that to hold me back from what I'm doing. I know that a lot of people have misconceptions about this, but that's also why like we create content from our perspectives and explain like, you know, how we see these things and how we see spirituality. And hopefully it opens up a lot of discussion. Hopefully it opens up a lot of thinking about this kind of thing. So our next question is, what is your opinion on monetization, paywalls, and other exclusive content? So I have absolutely no problem with this at all. I think like if you want to monetize your content, do it. You know, it takes a lot of energy to create, and it's really you who can sort of set what is the value, like what is it worth to you, and then also like if you are wanting to give, then that is also like a choice to give, you know what I mean? So especially since this is literally like how I am making a modest income, is off of paying for people paying for readings, and off of memberships, and then like a tiny amount comes from like affiliate links and ad revenue and that sort of thing. But I'd say like majority of my income comes off of readings, and closely behind that is like memberships. So I also still on the side have like a separate Patreon for art stuff, and it's actually like under my real name and not connected to this. And so like there are a few different like membership puzzle pieces that help make up sort of a baseline, and then like people pay for readings on top of that. I've got some private readings available now too. So that's how I'm able to do it. And it just kind of like basically covers my like most basic expenses, which is amazing. Like, I never thought that. I think I was very hopeful that this could happen, but now looking back, I'm like, wow, I'm really glad that I did this and didn't realize how actually like challenging it is to make that work, because I probably like wouldn't have tried to do it if I had realized that, you know what I mean? So anyway, I think I'm all for it. Like if you want to like monetize enough to pay for your equipment to do this, like that's amazing. If you want to monetize so that you're able to like read more, because it does take energy, so maybe it like the energy exchange can be a bit more equal, and so then you can read more, give longer readings, or help people in more in-depth way. Like, yes, I think that that's great. And maybe I'm biased because that's how I'm able to make it work, but definitely, absolutely. Do I have any current goals for my channel? Well, I do have a goal that I want to be able to reach more people, and I think that that's why I want to go down, that's partially why I want to go down this more so like booktubing and writing route, is that I don't want this to sound weird, like I'm not like trying to convert anyone to anything at all, but I love giving people their first ever tarot reading. I love being that first experience for people. And I found that a lot of writers that I know, and a lot of like people who are into sort of like the fantasy genre are really interested and open to it, and maybe would want to try it out. So I do feel like this is like a very complimentary stream of like content and topics. So I'm really hoping to reach more people and bring more people in that way. And I would say that my other goal is to be able to go in depth with people, to be able to be like very authentic, to be able to like help people, even like rephrase questions if need be, to like get the answers that are most like beneficial for self-development, for healing, for like heart-centered work. So I feel like my goal is to reach more, and my goal is to go deeper too, if that makes sense. Okay, so what are some of the mistakes you've made, and how did you fix them? Okay, so I have one big mistake here. And I think there's a question later on for like, what advice would you give to people like wanting to do this? This is going to be one of those pieces of advice. When you are starting out and you're smaller, there are people who, for whatever reason, want to like take advantage of that, or like kind of like get close to you at that point. It's like kind of a vulnerable point when you are just starting out, and it's like any sort of engagement is it's like really needed and wanted, and maybe you're not like totally sure of what you're doing yet. So I experienced this in a few different ways, and I'll just kind of say them generally. Be cautious about who wants to like immediately be a mod for your channel, because there was someone who modded for me, and basically she actually even said that she really liked finding channels like at their very, very beginning. And I didn't realize that that was potentially a red flag, but it can be. But she was very controlling. She had like her kind of way that things had to be, and she was like very judgmental if like things were outside of that. So I felt like I suddenly had this sort of, almost like I had like kind of this sort of like boss-like energy, if that makes sense. Yeah. And so another example of this was a creator who'd been doing it just a little bit longer, but I noticed that he actually sort of found like smaller female creators and tried to almost like take them under his wing and like do stuff for them and almost like mold them in a certain way. And I think these things, it's like a lot of this feels like power and control for some reason. I don't know, but I had this feeling like, okay, this person's like kind of intense in this way, and I feel almost like, in a way, almost like demeaned, like it was sort of demeaning, like, oh, you don't know what you're doing, and this is how you do it, And then come to find out this person, like in real life, is not a good person. And what I'll say about that is that there's a reason that he is like working online and not showing his face and just showing his hands. That's all I'll say about that. And then there was another person, I'll just like give another example, who found my YouTube channel when it was like very small, and then it just started sort of an uptick of more engagement. And it was kind of on that upswing that this person came in, and I didn't know why, but it seemed like she was like in every live stream. She was watching everything closely. She was commenting on my growth. And I didn't really realize till later that I think that this was actually coming from jealousy, like someone who was like, and this is, you know, as you start growing, this will be something you might encounter, is like feeling, I don't know, almost like, I don't know if like hate watching is the right word, but it's like she wasn't watching my content because she enjoyed it. She was watching it because like she didn't feel like I deserved that, and she was almost like hate watching me. I don't know if that's a term, but later, and I think my mistake was that I let all of these people in, but they were lessons I had to learn, I suppose, and maybe I can pass them on now. But like, it's like later on that person tried to sabotage the channel, and it just became very, very obvious. So how I dealt with it is I had to ban these people from my channel. But what's tricky is like when you let people come in, then they can kind of like become a part of the community. And if you're like trying to stay away from drama, which I certainly always am, then it can be kind of difficult to like disentangle a person without like making a big deal about it. So I think this is actually the first time I've like openly like really talked about those instances. So yeah, hopefully that's helpful to other people.
All right, so once again, I forgot to answer a question, which is, what are some of the ways your channel has grown since your first video? And I think I'm just always in process of growth. I think the big change was from doing it just for fun and making it be almost like my own little like secret project, into actually like, this is what I'm doing for my like main, you know, life work at this moment in time, at least. So that certainly has changed my like feeling about it and approach about it. But I do still have all of my first videos for the most part up there, because I like to look back, and I think it's important to be able to see with some channels like how, you know, what the progress is like, and where they came from and what they started with. So it's all still there, but this kind of goes back to what I was talking about before with like, oh, you know, now more people see it that I know personally. I kind of have to let go of some of that sort of self-judgment with my earlier videos and just say, you know, it's all part of the process, and I'm always trying to improve, so maybe I'll feel that way in the future about what I'm making now. So it's all just a journey.
Okay, so next, have you ever wanted to quit making videos? Why or why not? No, I honestly think that I'll always want to have this outlet at least available. Like, I'm trying to imagine a scenario in which maybe I like start doing something else with my life and I get really busy. I think that I would still, it's like the main reason why I started the channel in the beginning was to just kind of share things that I wanted to and felt inspired to share, and have an outlet which wasn't like people that I saw in my day-to-day life, like a different sort of outlet. And I think I'll always appreciate like having that as an avenue. It's kind of like with my Etsy shop, where if I just feel inspired to make something, like I just want to like create something, I don't have to make a whole business around just that one thing. I can just put it up in that Etsy shop. It's like there's an avenue for it. There's an outlet for that like creative burst. So it's like if I just feel inspired in the moment, I want to do something, then I can do it and I can put it up somewhere. Have I felt like quitting like this as my job? Yeah, there have been points where it's gotten really, really hard. It mostly has to do with like people, with dynamics with people. It's really, really challenging, especially when you're like opening up your heart and doing tarot readings and like really connecting with people on that deeper level. There are a lot of dynamics that can be challenging that come from that. And like what I was just talking about with the last question is just a little taste of that. It's very nuanced, and it can be like very, very difficult. So I do think it's totally worth it though. And obviously, like, I haven't quit, and I don't plan on quitting, and I feel very grateful to be doing this. But yeah, that's what I would say for that one. Okay. What do you wish you knew before starting your YouTube channel journey? Honestly, I wish that I had just gone for it when I first was really feeling inspired to do it, which was back in like 2017. I wish I could have just done it. I would have encouraged myself like, hey, this doesn't have to be like high quality. Just do it and just create and get better as you do it, and like just take the moment, because the moment passes by and then it becomes something kind of in the back of your mind for a while. Now, I will say though that it is possible that divine timing though did still like work out, that the time which I was really getting into my channel was the time that I was meant to be doing it, and the time that I started like reading tarot live, that was the time that I needed to make this sort of career change. And maybe that all of that makes sense, and all of the experiences that I had doing other work like was necessary. So I wouldn't 100% like change my path, because I think that my path has been this path for a reason. But I do kind of wish that I had more like confidence to just go for it back then. So yeah. All right. Oh, and the other thing is that like if I had started back then, like back in 2017, like I wouldn't want videos with like my ex-boyfriend and stuff on my channel. So like it is fine. It is fine that it's like mostly this phase of my life that I'm sharing. That's totally fine. Okay, so do you post on any other platforms? And if so, what are they? I actually, I'm just doing YouTube, Twitch, and Discord, which I guess are that's like three platforms. But Twitch, I'm streaming once a week on Twitch. I'm doing my Plan With Me live streams over on Twitch, and we do have some tarot available there. And we're going to be doing like journaling and some meditation. We've done that all along, but I've sort of like reframed what that stream is on Wednesdays. So it's basically a plan with me, and then we do either a little bit of journaling or a little bit of meditation, and then we have it open for maybe one longer tarot reading, and otherwise I work on craft projects. That's my my Twitch stream. And then Discord, I run a Discord community, and I'm a part of other Discord communities, and I adore it. It's such a great platform for that. And it really replaces my need for social media. So actually, I've done away with social media otherwise. I'm not posting on TikTok, I'm not posting on Instagram, not posting on Twitter, I'm not doing any of that anymore. So it felt very freeing to just kind of focus in here. So those are my only platforms. Okay, so do you have any advice for those starting a channel? So other than what I was saying before, believe in yourself, and just create. You can refine it later. Like just follow your inspirations and just create and see what works for you, see what feels good for you. And you don't have to invest a lot, you don't have to spend a lot of money to like get that going. Just go for it. And you can always you can refine later. You can even delete stuff later. Like it isn't as high stakes as you think. And don't be worried about people judging you. I mean, there always will be people judging you. And to be honest, like if you're going to have a voice, if you're going to make something, if you're going to create and express in the world, it will come with a bit of some kind of a resistance, be it a troll, be it someone criticizing you, be it a conversation, whatever it is, it will have a response. And that is okay. So just do it anyway. So yeah, I think too, if anyone's curious about making this their job, I do think that there's a lot that comes to with that, and there's like a lot of advice I would give for that. And I've started offering on my website, which is moonleystudio.com. I have consultations. You can book a consultation with me, and we can just like talk about stuff, and we can pull cards on it. So it's like a private reading, but we can make it a little bit more business focused if you want. I mean, I'm obviously not like the biggest expert on this. I've just come to the point where I can make a sort of like a modest living from it, but I'm totally willing to help people and share. And that reminds me, I feel like I might have missed a question because there was something that I wanted to talk about. You know what? I did miss a question. Actually, I missed a few of them. Okay, so I missed question number 14, what do you like and dislike about being on YouTube? And 15, what are some of the challenges and struggles you face creating on this platform? How do you overcome them? So in terms of YouTube, I do think, and hopefully this will change, but I think that live streams, people don't necessarily know to like how to click to see like what channels are currently live right now, and don't necessarily search for live streams because it's mostly video content. And I feel like there could be a bit more of an encouragement for that, because for one, like I think there's a huge like tarot YouTube community, like gigantic, and then I think there's a much smaller YouTube live stream tarot community, and I think that this could, I think that these could kind of like merge and balance out a little bit. I think that more people could know that live streams are happening, and that would be, very helpful for me, and I do hope that that happens. And I would say like another challenge of doing this work is screen time, like having to be a lot on the computer, and it's helpful for me. I actually don't use a smartphone, so I really have to like be on my laptop to be in communication with people, and so that helps me separate a bit, but it still is challenging. It still requires a lot. There's so much that is required outside of just the content that you see. So, and I think beyond that is like people expecting you to like be able to respond to them a lot, or to be able to be their best friend, or to be able to provide like more like emotional support than like maybe you're able to handle outside of the tarot readings. So I definitely have experienced that, and it's kind of one of those things where I just like, I wish I had more time. I wish I had a time turner. I wish I, had more emotional like capacity. I wish that I could be like, what's the goddess with like the many faces? You know what I mean? But just like kind of having to set boundaries with your time. Oh my goodness, which is also another question I forgot. How do you have any boundaries on this platform? Why or why not? So we'll get to that one next. The other thing I wanted to say about like challenges or things that I dislike is that sense of competition, because I've been burned by that. I've had people that I thought were my friends, and then I realized that they were feeling competitive with me, or they were feeling jealous of me for some reason. And I just think that we can lift each other up. We don't have to be competing. We're all different. We're all different voices, and really actually like when people succeed, it helps everyone. So my friends, the people that I like truly consider my friends, I want them to succeed with every fiber of my being. I really, really do. And like, please, like, surpass me. Or if you're like, already bigger than me, like blow up. Like, please do. I want to see that. I really want to see that. So do I have boundaries on this platform? So one thing is that I no longer give free readings. I had to like give a lot of them when I was starting out. It was actually mutually beneficial, because I really got to experience a lot of different types of questions, a lot of different types of people, a lot of different types of readings, and just like really hone in on my craft and get really, 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 I think, good at it from doing that. And it helped me build up my channel. But there came a point where it's like, okay, if people are willing to pay for readings, the energy exchange and the amount of time I have, I just stream during my son's nap. I like really had to make it, this is now valuable. And so, So there's a price. However, like I still try to make things affordable and have like the membership. So I do like free readings to members. So they're, you know, supporting me month to month. And so then I can give back and do some smaller free readings for them. So that was one big boundary that I had to set. And another boundary would be types of questions. I kind of had to figure out like, all right, this is what I don't read for, can't read for, and this is what I don't do. Like, for example, I'm not a medium. I don't have experience being a medium, so I'm just not, like, as of now. So having boundaries around like, all right, this is what I do well, and this is what we should ask about. I can kind of like help people mold questions to be a bit more like self-development focused, and that is really good. So it's always a journey. And then of course, setting boundaries, I had to turn off my DMs. That was a big boundary that I had to set. So yeah. And lastly, who will you tag in this video? So I am tagging, and no pressure to make this video, but if you would like to, I am tagging Priestess of Wonderland, Panthera the Feral Wood Witch, My Bay, and Nabnia. So yeah, and please tag me, let me know if you do make this video. I'd love to check it out. And anyone else who is inspired by it, make this video, and feel free to tag me in that as well. I would love to see. And otherwise, thank you all so much for spending time with me. I hope to see you soon. And yeah, have a wonderful rest of your Sunday if you're watching this live, or whenever you come across this. It's so nice to meet you. Please introduce yourself in the comments below if you would like. And yeah, I will see you all soon. Bye.